Hey, if you've been looking for more distance, then this video will definitely be for you, because right after this, I'm going to talk about kind of a secret key. I know, there's no more secrets, but it might be secret to you. You might not have heard this before, but I'm going to talk about a principle in the way you release the golf club that's going to get you a ton more distance, so stay tuned. Hey, this is Steve from HitItLonger.com. I'm on a journey to hit longer and straighter off the tee. Longer and straighter from tee to green. That helps me get more enjoyment out of the game. If that's you too, please feel free to subscribe, hit the bell notifications. I'm trying to get to 10,000. It'll be a great moment. Someone's supposed to bake me a cake, so can you help get me there? I hope so, but only if you enjoy what's coming up. So let's talk about a concept that's starting to be touched on more and more at the advanced levels of teaching, and that's what happens to the handle of the club into and the ball and out into the exit. So it's a kind of simple principle, kind of a physics on its face. We've blessed it or cursed it with a term called parametric acceleration. From what I'm told by actual physicists, it's kind of a nonsense term. It only really applies to golf. But what it means is basically that the head is going to respond to what the handle does. You can manipulate this end of the stick to cause this end of the stick to do what you want, i.e. go faster, more squaring torque so that you can hit the ball straighter, not leave it off to the right, things like that. I can tell you what is talked about the most starting on TV and in more advanced teaching circles is how the handle of the club needs to go up as you go through the ball. Now you see how it's, what I'm doing is I'm going from kind of a squat position to a taller position, and I'm pulling my left shoulder back as well, and it's causing the handle of the club to go up as my body turn is helping it go around to the left. So we know that those things are going to help torque the club around the handle. But another concept on the same vein you may not have heard too much about. It's something that Mike Austin did, but I don't think he ever was able to explain it simply in words. I think he just did it and maybe didn't know exactly he was doing it. So let's look at the concept of this pendulum for a second. So we have this free-flowing pendulum back and forth, at least a crude representation of a pendulum, because there'd be no friction. I've got to keep pushing this to get it to swing to the same level because my fingers are applying friction. Okay, so we have in a vacuum, we have our pure pendulum, and the top of the pendulum end is fixed. So you'd get a certain amount of club head speed and torque around the shaft with this motion. So now you can see if I were to introduce an upwards pull of the handle, like I showed you I was doing with the shoulder and the raising up or the squat to jump idea that a lot of people are getting into, just by pulling up, I can cause the club to swing. You see, if I do it very abruptly, I can get the club to swing higher. It's simply responding to, if I do it at the right moment, it's accelerating and responding to the pull of the handle in that direction. So it's actually better than a pure pendulum. If you were actually to pull upwards, it'll make the club swing down and around quicker. But a secondary concept would see the handle of the club actually pulling backwards as well. So if I do this at the right time and I actually pull, let's say the fairway is this way, if I actually pull the club this way, see that can actually cause a lot more acceleration. What's amazing is if when you do them together, if you can get the handle going at an upwards and backwards vector, well, you can pretty easily get it to circle all the way around this way. So I'm going to pull in this vector. You can see I'm having a hard time keeping the club from actually going all the way around because it just flies. So if you can get the handle to do this, the club head will absolutely fly around the handle, pick up speed, nets you more club head speed and distance. If you've watched some of my other videos, it's very similar to the water boat pulling, the water ski boat pulling the skier and the skier doing the round the boat trick. Really, that's what we're trying to do at the head of this club, is make it do an around the boat. And this would be the boat, and this would be the tow rope. We're trying to get it to do an around the boat trick, picking up speed even as the boat slows down. Now, how are we going to make the handle go backwards? It's not going to be with the body for sure. It's going to be with the way we release the hands. So I'm going to do a couple of demonstrations here. I'm going to put a line somewhere near my hand. I'll superimpose a line on the screen. And you're going to see that I'm going to advance the handle to about the line, and then the actual fulcrum is in the mid hand. So I'm trying to use this as my pivot point, but nonetheless, you're still going to see it actually back up after it reaches a peak forward to my left, something like this. You'll see that I actually am backing the handle up. Let's take a look at it in slow-mo. It's really similar to the way you would withdraw your arm to crack a towel. So if I have a towel like this, very, very supple is the key to this, that from the shoulder down to the fingertips, you're just as buttery and loose as you can possibly get so that your arm can whip. And I would crack a towel like this. My upper arm will actually back up as my elbow straightens and my wrist flaps. So we have three elements there. My upper arm is backing up across my chest. My elbow is straightening. That's the second in the chain. And the third in the chain would be the strong flap of the wrist. You can also see these mechanics in a frisbee throw too. So I'm actually causing the tip of the whip, or in this case, the handle of the club, it's actually backing up. Now, why don't we ever see the handle backing up in a PGA Tour player's or a long driver swing? Well, it's actually going to be impossible, or it's just not going to happen. I guess it's possible. I can actually hit a ball like this, and you can see it, I'll have my hand back up. But what's going to happen is we're going to add it in. Let's say we have a negative factor in the handle from what I'm doing with the whipping action, but we have a huge positive factor in the shifting and turning of the body, which is causing the handle to go down, forward, and around to the left again. So we're going to add these two forces together. We've got a positive around the corner one, and then we've got a backing up one, and the end result is that the club is going to simply slow down at the handle as you go into impact. So you've got, let's say, 2 units of force on the handle working this way, and you've got 1 unit of force working backwards. You're going to end up with a net of 1 forward. In other words, the club handle is going to decelerate, slow down as it goes up and left and back into the player. It's also going to be slowing down as well. That's the end result. That really separates the amount of slowness, or possibly the rate of slowing is going to separate the big hitter from the really big hitter. So if you want to get those extra yards out of your drives, You might want to just practice, get that towel out, practice that whipping action this way. Here's a two-handed version. And you can even hear the club whistle a little bit with just a very minimal effort. So you're trying to get that club to feel, if you were not turning your body at all, just using your hands and arms, trying to feel like it backs up a little bit. Hey, I hope this gets you much further down the fairway. As always, I'm Steve, hititlonger.com. Please check out the links in the description for all the freebies I'm leaving down below. And I'll see you next time, hopefully longer, straighter down the fairway. Thanks.